Hey guys, it's Wayne Santos, one of the editors here at CGM, and for this week's Sound Off, we're sounding off with a welcome of sorts for Denis Dyack to Toronto, because there's a new studio in town. It's called Quantum Entanglement Entertainment, and it's kind of one of these weird, crazy transmedia things, because they claim that they're going to be working on movies and television and games, and Denis Dyack seems to be basically in charge of the games component. Now, for those Americans or Canadians that don't know, Denis Dyack is actually originally one of the founding members of a studio known as Silicon Knights, which started out back in 1992 in St. Catharines, Ontario. So if we had like a map of the Great Lakes Horseshoe region, then it's like, Toronto would be like here and St. Catharines would kind of be down here. And they were there for a while, cranking out a few games that people really enjoyed. Like they actually did the GameCube adaptation of Metal Gear Solid, Twin Snakes, which was actually very good. And of course, they're best known for Eternal Darkness, which was this survival horror, psychological horror, Cthulhu-esque time-traveling psychic romp. It was actually quite interesting. Did a lot of crazy things, messing around with various horror conventions, and even though it wasn't commercially successful, it was a critical darling and regularly cited as one of the better games in the GameCube library. From there, Silicon Knights went on to do a bunch of different things, including the game that basically killed them, 2011's X-Men Destiny, which was not a very good game. And the popular theory is that they were taking the money that Activision was giving them to make that game, and they were pumping it into, it's like making a sequel to Eternal Darkness, which is what everybody really wanted to see. They also did an Xbox 360 exclusive prior to that called Too Human, which was interesting, but again, it's like really did not do much for them. Eventually, though, what really did in Silicon Knights was they got countersued by Epic. You might know them because they made a little game called Unreal and then went on to make a ton of money making the Unreal Engine, which is an industry standard now for studios that don't want to make their own in-game graphics engine. What happened was Too Human was being made, and originally the plan with Silicon Knights was they were going to use the Unreal Engine. Somewhere along the way, they decided that the Unreal Engine was no good and that they were going to go and make their own engine, so they sued Epic, claiming that it was basically false advertising and that what they'd wanted from the Unreal Engine was not what it could do, and thus forcing them to go and make their own engine. Epic went and countersued them, and there was a whole legal hurly-burly over that, which Silicon Knights lost, and they ended up having to pay a lot of money over to Epic, but the contention eventually was that Silicon Knights merely took the Unreal Engine and modded it to their own purposes. So basically, even though they claimed that the Unreal Engine was useless, Epic contends that you guys ended up using the Unreal Engine anyway, so you can't have one and not the other. So anyway, that shut down. Denis Dyack eventually went off, and he moved from the bottom of the Great Lake map up to the middle of the Great Lake map, where he started up a new studio, and he called that Precursor Games, and those guys were going to make a sequel to Eternal Darkness, and that was going to be called Shadows of the Eternal. They tried not once, not twice, but 3 times to get this thing publicly funded through Kickstarter and other agencies. That did not work, and then there was this whole ugly mess where it came out that one of the staff on the studio might have actually been involved in child pornography, and it's like, it's all really ugly. So that was last year, 2013. Now, this year, they're in downtown Toronto, Adelaide Street, for those who are really curious and want to make the pilgrimage. But the thing that I'm really wondering about is we've got Denis Dyack in charge of the games component, but are any of the other loyal people from Silicon Knights from all of those years there, or is it just Dyack on his own? Whatever the case, he's there along with 2 other people and apparently a motion capture studio, so they're probably going to be subbing that out to people that want to take advantages of those services. So we'll see. Denis Dyack is now in Toronto. He's still trying to get Shadows of the Eternal off the ground with this new company. Will he succeed? Won't he? I guess only time will tell. So until then, welcome to Toronto, Dennis. Hope it works out for you this time. See ya.